Oh, I don't pay for suits. My suits are on the house, or the house burns down.
Welcome to the Red Right Hand podcast, the show that covers each and every episode of the BBC/Netflix hit TV show, The Peaky Blinders. In this podcast, we'll be covering each episode from the show, from all 5 seasons. We'll probably be doing some of the new seasons as well when those come around.
Yeah, when and if. Hopefully soon.
My name is Josh, and with me is Curtis. And we're going to be breaking down today, starting with Season 1, Episode 1. And we're going to be diving into that one. You excited to be here?
Super excited. I know we were talking about this earlier about the name of the episode. Especially for a show like this, you would think, okay, it's probably going to have some cool, names for each episode. But no, it's just plain Jane, Episode 1. So let's get right into Episode 1.
We start off with what they call the powder trick. We're in a place called Garrison Court, and Tommy Shelby leads a horse there where a girl from his tailor performs what's called the powder trick. Tommy tells the people watching from the windows to bet on the horse. It's called Monaghan Boy at a race on Monday at 3 o'clock. So in this scene, essentially, Tommy rides a horse into Garrison Court. A girl comes out and she blows a red powder in the horse's face. I don't know if that's supposed to be a gypsy thing because of the Shelby family, or if that was an Asian thing, if she, that was something that they did. I didn't really talk about that.
Right. Not really any clue to what, where that came from, its origin or anything like that. It just really kind of dives right into it. And I don't know, I don't think you mentioned this too, but the other thing too was, people are watching, but the moment he comes down that alley, man, they're scattering quick. So okay, this dude means business here. So something's about to go down, So very, very well dressed man, nice suit. Got his what kind of hat do you call that? I forget what you call them.
I always just hear them called patty caps.
Patty cap. I've never heard that before. Patty cap on. Very distinguished kind of looking young man. Not rich or anything like that, but he looks like he's a guy that's definitely in power in a way. Yeah.
There's like a level of respect, but also like definite fear there in that first scene.
Oh, for sure. I mean, they're hiding, but at the same time, they're not like and going into their houses and closing their doors. I mean, a lot of them are hiding, behind, wagons and different stuff like that, and they're still kind of, still watching them from afar. So you definitely know that they do kind of admire him and wonder, what he is going to do.
So they do this powder trick. Tommy tells the people in the windows watching that they need to bet on this horse in an upcoming race. And that's another thing, too. It does show at least that he's looking out for them a little bit financially, because he wants them to get a taste of that. But there is, of course, with them, there's always more to the story, so probably not just a good deed.
I definitely think he's one of those people that he profits from other people profiting, and so I think that kind of goes into it, him telling everybody to be there and to bet on it. And so, yeah, I definitely think so. I think from just a kind of a side note, though, I really like, I'm a big movie fan, show fan, different stuff like that, and I've really kind of dove into, cinematography, different stuff like that. I really love the way that they've captured just like the image, the different stuff. Even like when the Chinese girls blowing the powder into the horse's nose. I mean, that close up and the slow motion. It's just beautiful cinematography. I just love it. I think it's awesome. I remember when you first, told me about this show, and I was kind of skeptical about it. And I watched a little bit of it, and I was kind of But then when I went back and said, I'm really going to sit down, I'm really going to watch it, really pay attention, I remember watching this very first scene and just being so sucked into it because everything that was going on. And that's a testament to, the actors, but really, again, to like the director, the cameraman, different stuff like that, just the way they shot it. It's just awesome. And the other big thing that I think we'll definitely see in this series is the music is a huge part of, this show, which I really like too. There's a lot of just ambient noises, different stuff like that, but a lot of bands too that I found that I really like from this show. So
yeah, for sure. There's the music for sure, and the cinematography, because whenever I first found the show several years ago, it was in between season 1 and 2, and I just came across it on Netflix, and I thought the little synopsis sounded kind of interesting, so I was like, I'll watch an episode or two. And yeah, same thing. After that first couple scenes, I was really intrigued enough, and after the first few episodes, I was completely hooked. But getting back to it, Tommy leaves there and passes down through some alleys. It gives us a little overview of Small Heath, I feel like. There's men begging. There's definitely a lot of, you can see the poverty.
It's a kind of a factory town, too. I mean, there's a lot of open factories around and a lot of fires going up and everything like that. That's pretty cool to me. But
there's industry going on here. Can you see it?
Yeah, definitely so.
He gives money to other men. He gives money to the men begging. He gives money to some other men, and they move out of the street as he passes. And the police tip their caps to him. So there again, you're kind of seeing, you're seeing him do a little good for people. These guys, I assumed, were probably soldiers at some point, or there's some reason for Tommy to be giving them money. I feel like he has a lot of sympathy for fellow soldiers and a lot of respect for them.
Right. Did you set the time of our period here?
Oh, no, I did not. We're in 1919.
Just right after the First World War.
Yes.
Big thing over there.
We're in Birmingham, England, in the neighborhood Small Heath. The police tip their caps to him. This is the first time, I guess, we see him interact with the police at all.
Well, and it definitely shows you that, okay, something's up. This dude there's more than meets the eye about this dude. It kind of makes you more interested of, okay, well, why are they doing that? What is he to them, really? And how did he get into that power, really? So which we're about to find out, so.
Yeah. Tommy enters a betting parlor. I don't even know what to call these places, especially like back then. It's always just like a back room in somebody's house that's decked out to look like a casino,
right? Yeah,
like an old casino.
Yeah. Which, I mean, you gotta start somewhere, so I guess that's maybe where they kind of started. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah,
not really.
I mean, they're bookies. They're bookmakers.
Yeah.
Is the first time we see another member of the family, Finn, who is the youngest Shelby brother. He's 10 years old. We also see John, who is Tommy's younger brother, but he's in between Tommy and Finn. He tells Tommy that many people have come in to bet on Monaghan Boy, which was the horse that Tommy had in Garrison Court. Arthur, the oldest brother, calls Tommy into his office, and he's angry with him for doing the powder trick. He says he's getting mixed up with the Chinese. And Tommy says that times are hard and people need a reason to lay a bet.
just kind of between, we've heard Tommy speak, and he's kind of got a rough voice. Kind of, I don't know, it almost kind of elegant, but kind of rough too. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But then I remember watching for the first time and hearing Arthur's voice, and it's very, rough. Almost like somebody's been screaming, for a long time, and then it's just, you kind of got that roughness in your voice. And to me, it kind of definitely showed that, okay, this guy is the older one. He's kind of in charge. He's he's got the ruffier voice, I don't know, just kind of seemed more of a boss, at the time. And side note, I really liked his haircut too. So, yeah, you can't go wrong with the hair.
Yep.
Or the mustache either, but
it didn't even really hit me until now, but their two accents are so different also.
Yeah.
You've got Arthur, that talks that way, and it's almost like very British Cockney,
Right, yeah.
And then you've got Tommy, who speaks very well, I feel like, and very properly.
Right.
But it's also the two different sides of them, because Arthur is very rough and tumble and just the fighter, and then Tommy, who is also a fighter, is also the guy who's trying to bring them up a little bit in the world,
right.
Their social status.
Right, yeah. Trying to bring some class.
Yeah. We get another little hint to kind of what Tommy's doing with Monahan Bohr here. He says times are tough and people need a reason to lay a bet. That is true, but like you were saying, it makes it sound like he's doing something for, the low-level people. Yeah. But he's really just using the powder trick and using them to get more people betting on the horse.
Right.
We've got some of the other Shelbys here. I guess that's all we've got so far. We've got Tommy, we've got Finn, John, and Arthur. That's
the boys.
Yeah, that's all four of the Shelby brothers right there that come in within the first couple scenes. Another thing that I wrote down was for the times are hard and people need a reason to lay a bet, was because there's always rise in organized crime post-war, especially massive war, World War One for them. Over there, the story takes place right after the end of World War One. Then also Vietnam in America, because that was the huge rise of MC culture. Was a lot of the big ones anyway, the ones that were doing, the ones about.
Right, yeah.
It was all after Vietnam.
Right. There's definitely something about right after war, people trying to pick up the pieces and, times being tough, and you start kind of getting desperate to do different things, and you find, safe havens in different people, and I don't know, it's...
Well, you're doing what you know.
Oh, for
what
sure.
You've done.
Yeah, well, and that's the other thing. When you're trained to just kill somebody...
Yeah, and you come back and there's not...
It's hard to
outlets
go...
for
Right,
you.
it's hard to go back to a factory job or...
Yeah.
Whatever. I'm a butcher or whatever.
But I think I think it's better now. I don't 100% know.
I don't know, yeah.
But
there's programs out there
yeah,
for people coming back from stuff like that now. Back then it was just like, hey, here's a gun.
Well,
go fight for your country, and then when you get back, go back to what you're doing, make us, our economy good, or whatever.
I think the deal with Vietnam too was I always heard that when those guys got back, it was just there was no help for them. That there was no...
Well, and that's,
that there was no programs for them. There was nobody, trying to get these guys jobs.
Right.
And a lot of these guys were, not getting jobs because they were vets. People were turning them away for that.
Right. You look at between World War II, how it ended in terms of, here in America, people coming back. There's celebration in the streets. There's, you've seen the famous pictures, the guy kissing the girl, different stuff like that. It was a celebration for those guys to come back. Go, to Vietnam, however many years later, 20, 30 years later, they're protesting you when you come back. They're calling you a baby killer and different stuff like that. So you just kind of get thrown to the wayside. And I think especially after the Vietnam, you saw the rise of homelessness. People that had, lost limbs, and I mean, the mental like destruction that war does on you, and especially Vietnam War. I mean, it's horrible, but yeah, I mean, it's definitely two different worlds there. But you're right. I mean, people, when you're taught to do one thing for even just a year, it's hard to change it and go back to what you were doing before. But I don't know.
Yeah, and it's just a combination of all those things. It's when it's something that and when there's no opportunity, and when there's need,
right.
Like your needs.
Right.
Like when those three things come together, it's like, what won't you do?
Right, exactly, yeah.
So we find out here that Tommy is in charge of new business ventures going forward. The Blinders don't work with the Chinese, but they take free suits. I wrote that down.
Wait, I mean, you don't pass up something that's free. I mean, come on, man, especially a suit.
And we don't know in the beginning that this girl and her uncle, I think, are their tailors. But yeah, I wrote that down because you see the Shelby's suits, but Arthur makes it a point that they don't work with the Chinese. They just, they take free suits.
Right, we just take free suits, yeah.
Arthur turns the conversation back to the horse and is concerned about fixing races without the permission of somebody named Billy Kimber.
Ah, Billy.
Tommy thinks so Arthur doesn't have to. There's a family meeting planned at 8 o'clock that night.
Ooh, wonder what it's going to be.
So let's go back for a second. Arthur's concerned that Tommy's going to be fixing races without Billy Kimber's consent. And Billy Kimber, we're going to find out, is... he's really just a boss. It's not like really a family business or anything like that. It's him and an army, and they run the racetracks, and I think they run most of the on-track betting, right? Like on-site betting.
Yeah, that's from what I understood of the show. That's what it was, and you definitely don't cross Billy Kimber, from what I can tell, and the way Arthur's talking to, which he wants to play on the safe side. I mean, they look like they had a really good operation going, in their house or back room, whatever it is. So, it's one of those where it's like, if we're doing so good, why mess it up? So I kind of get what Arthur's saying. But if he told Tommy, hey, we want you to drum up some new business, you got to trust your brother, right? I mean, I trust you, I think.
Yeah. And he, like you were saying, I don't think he's wrong for being worried about it. Because especially at this time, the Blinders and the Shelby family, they're a very small organization.
Right.
It's just people very close to them at this point, and some people that the boys were in the war with. So they're not equipped to deal with somebody like that yet. But this is, especially the first season here, Tommy's taking a lot of initiative, and it's very aggressively entrepreneurial.
Yeah, he's trying to kickstart it. Trying to take him to the next level in a short amount of time, for sure. Because they definitely are a small bookmaker gang, Mm-hmm. So he definitely seems like he's got something up his sleeve to try to get him to the next level and beyond pretty quick. So, interested to see what that is.
We've got the family meeting planned at 8 o'clock, and this is the first of many family meetings that we're going to see over the course of this show.
It's a big part of the show if you didn't realize it from what he was saying.
Yeah, because most things in their family aren't done without approval at a family meeting. But that being said, Tommy colors outside the lines on a lot of that and makes a lot of decisions without the approval of the family.
Well,
Almost
I mean,
regularly, I
yeah.
would say.
Oh, for sure. I mean, if you want to get anywhere in life, I guess sometimes you got to color outside the lines.
That's true.
So, I think I trust him. I think he knows what he's doing for sure. I mean, he's the main character, so I would think he knows what he's doing. So,
Yeah.
but
So the next section we've got here, I titled The Irishman. We're going to be introduced to Detective Campbell, who is a decorated Irish lawman. He's on a train to Birmingham, and he's looking through a file concerning something called the gun robbery. We haven't really seen anything about this yet. This is going to be our first little dip into the gun robbery. Inside this file are Thomas and Arthur's military profiles. It's their war records, and I think I saw their gang statuses on there.
love the pictures from the war though. That's
Yeah,
pretty cool.
that was nice.
Their army. Yeah, of course they're really young, especially Arthur. I think his haircut's a little bit different. No facial hair.
Mm-hmm.
It definitely looks a lot younger.
I had to stop it and check the name one of the first couple times I watched it.
It is pretty cool. Like when not even just the name, but like there's different things. If you pause it and you read all the different stuff on that paperwork, I couldn't tell you right off the top of my head right now, but I mean it's pretty cool. All the different little things that they've got in there, just kind of talking about the war, where they fought at major battles, different stuff like that, which we'll learn more later on. The detective, though, played by Sam Neill, great actor choice.
I feel like I know Sam Neill. Like I know I've seen him in a million things, but like I can't think of anything right off the top.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Jurassic Park? The very first one? He's the doctor. He's the main guy.
The doctor?
Yeah, I can't remember what his character's name is, but he's the...
Oh my god!
Yeah, that's him.
Wow.
You didn't realize that?
No.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I can kind of see it now, but that is so crazy.
Right. Of course, the reason I remember that is because our mom loves Jurassic Park, and she's always watching it, so I always see him.
Wow.
But yeah, I think he's originally Irish, I think. He's from the United Kingdom. But he's got a really good accent in the show. I mean, it's just very believable. And you can tell right off the bat, this dude, again, means business. He's a very rough guy, and we're going to find out pretty quick that, he seems like he's going to do whatever it takes to get this job done, whatever this job is that he's been handed. Would you say stolen guns? Is that what you said?
Yes.
Yeah. So.
And there's also a file in there. We've got a file on Thomas. We've got one on Arthur, and then we've got one on Freddie Thorne. And Freddie Thorne is Thomas's childhood friend. He is a known communist agitator, and he was also in France with Tommy where he took a bullet for him. They say that several times. I think you do see it in some of the flashbacks, but it is really hard to tell, and rightfully so, what is going on in that tunnel.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a different... What he talks about with Tommy Lair about taking a bullet, I think that's a different time. We can talk about it when we get to that later on, but I think that's a different thing. Which, that tunnel scene stuff and all the war stuff that they did in the first season with his, trying to overcome it mentally, I really liked that too. I thought that was a really good interpretation for people who lived in the war, especially in World War I and World War II, because you're talking about wars that are on scales that nobody's ever seen before in their life, where, tons and tons of countries around the world are all going to fight against each other, and especially in World War I, where a lot of these new weapons, like the tank, is being introduced, the flamethrower. I mean, good God, you're running on a battlefield and all of a sudden this dude comes at you with the flamethrower? No, dude, I'm turning around. I'm going home, man.
And then, okay, so From the train and Inspector Campbell, we cut to Freddy giving a speech. He's in a factory. There's a lot of men gathered around. He's talking about wage cuts since the war. He says, "Who reaps the rewards of them having won the war?" And it's not them. It's kind of
obvious.
Classic communist talk there. But he gets all these guys really agitated. He says they're going to be striking. He's gotten them all angry enough to call a strike and shut down the factories.
Classic communism.
That's a short little scene. I think that's just kind of meant to give us, hey, this is Freddie Thorne. This is that guy you just saw the file on, and
right. That's kind of a cool thing. What he does. Right. That's kind of a cool thing too. It's like, he's the detective's looking at the files, and it's. I think it shows like if I remember correctly, like he's looking at Arthur's and then, or not Arthur's, but like Tommy's, and they flashes over to Tommy doing something, I think, and then when Freddie Thorne's file comes up, of course, again, you're thinking, well, then who's this dude? Because it's not part of the family and all. We've been introduced to the family. And then that's when it switch over to him. So it's pretty cool to kind of see that and what he's all about. So, but definitely kind of a guy looking like he'd be a leader. Very vocal. Kind of, slender dude, not really built, but people definitely respect him. They gathered around him pretty quick, and when we first see him, they're all kind of in celebration when he comes into the factory. So obviously he's a man well respected and admired by these hardworking, underpaid factory workers. So
he definitely stands out fashion wise too, because I'm not sure who he's trying to dress like, but it doesn't look like everybody else there,
He's got like a overcoat too, doesn't he?
He wears like a very
coat
light-colored trench coat.
Yeah.
And then he wears that. It's not a bowler hat. It's a fedora, I guess.
Yeah, it'd be kind of like a fedora almost.
When everybody else at the time is wearing those other hats,
what'd you call them?
The patty caps.
The patty caps. Oh, the patty caps.
But I guess it's more of, when I think of that time and I think of that look, I almost think more American.
Yeah.
That honestly screams to me Chicago.
Well, he didn't really have a very thick accent either, British or Irish or anything like that. I mean, it was a little bit.
There was something there. There's something there.
But yeah, I'm not really sure. It'd be we should probably look that up, see what his real origins are, if there's anything online about that.
Yeah.
That'd be kind of. I never really thought about that before, though.
But it is a style. It's a style that you see them. Maybe he's just ahead of the curve, because it is a style that you see them kind of adopting. What is it, the end of season 3, where they weirdly they change up their style in the last episode of that season.
Right. And one of the other things I was going to say too is when you start bringing up clothing. I mean, you look around before Freddie Thorne gets in there. There's a lot of dark colors, so it's kind of depressing. Little. I mean, you get the sense of it. It's, you're trying to pick up the pieces after a war. This whole town and whatever. People are coming back. They're all dressed kind of dark. And then here comes this guy who's dressed in light colors. He's, talking a big game. He's making it, he's kind of bringing in hope for people. So he's kind of the, I don't know why I want to say this, but White Rider, He's just kind of a guy that looks like, a messiah or something, all these people are kind of dressed in dark clothes, and here he is in lighter clothing to kind of stand out and say, here I am, look at me, and
he's
got
new ideas. He supports the people.
Yes.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying.
Tommy then enters the Garrison pub and he orders a drink. As drinks are on the house, the bartender says, we see Freddy over in the corner with some other men, and he comes over to the bar and uses the money that Tommy placed on the counter to pay for his drink also.
Bold move.
I didn't mention Tommy pays for his drink anyway, even though he mentions that it's on the house. What's the bartender's name?
So I was just about to ask you. I can't remember what his name is all of a sudden.
I always forget his name. I might have had it down in here. It might come up.
Bartender.
Yeah, nameless bartender.
I mean, isn't that like every bartender's name, like to the people that are coming in there? There's like, bartender.
I think Freddy says his name here in a little bit.
Sooner or later, I remember people saying his name, but I don't remember who.
There's a lot of these characters they don't
name
introduce right off the bat, and I almost wonder, especially in the first episode, if they weren't 100% sure that those people were going to be around.
Well, I mean, you gotta think. I mean, I don't know if they shot this as a pilot or whatever. I would think this show specifically was more, hey, we're going to give you 6 episodes to kind of show it, what you have. But, yeah, usually a lot of times in, like, pilots, they won't introduce anybody but the main characters just in case. Not really just in case, but more or less just try to keep it simple and introduce the main people. But, yeah, I can't think of his name. I mean, I feel like it's, like, right on the top of my head, but it's probably gonna be something basic like Bob or something.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Bob, the bartender, right?
I'm sure. Freddy picks up Tommy's hat, looks it over, and he says, "The crown of a prince, but soon to be king, I'd bet." Freddy's people in the BSA telegraph office got a list of names that has both Freddy and Thomas's names on it. A bookmaker and a communist, Freddy says. He says that there are days that he wished he'd let Tommy die in France. He's referring to, he says, there's days when I hear about the cuttings and the beatings that I wish I would have let you die in France. He's just referring to the Peaky Blinders gang activity.
Well, and then on top of that, they have differing views between, Tommy and Freddy for sure. I mean, you got, again, the guy who's a communist who wants to spread the wealth and have, equality all the way across. And then you have the guy that is, like we said earlier, is trying to make a profit for himself and his family, and he's even willing to do that at the expense of other people.
No, for sure. I wrote down that Freddy's person in the BSA telegraph office. I think it's just important to note again that they all have people everywhere. Even Freddy, who's just with the communists and he's not really in a gang, like he's got people in the telegraph office keeping an eye out for anything of importance. And of course, they let him know that their names were on a list. He doesn't know what that list is about yet, but we'll find out pretty soon.
And just for reference, BSA stands for Birmingham Small Arms Company, so it's a ammunition guns maker, which is going to come into importance here pretty quick.
At that point, we're introduced to another character because he comes busting through the front doors of the Garrison pub screaming and yelling and flipping over tables. And it turns out he's just having some war flashbacks. And this is Danny Whizbang.
Ah, Danny.
This is the first time we meet Danny. He was a tunnel digger also, wasn't he?
Yeah, I believe he was in the tunnels with Tommy, if I remember correctly.
Okay. So that's what I know that from. He was a fellow soldier. He served with them. And Tommy and Fred calm him down and try to keep him from doing any more damage to anything else in the bar or to himself.
What did he tell? He grabbed him and he said, "You're not." What did he say? You're not a.
You're not a whiz-bang.
Was it a whiz-bang? I thought he said something else.
I think
maybe it was whiz-bang, which would explain the name.
Yeah, it was.
And that's one of those where it's like, okay, what's a whiz bang?
It was something about being a bomb. I feel.
And that's why I was thinking that's what that was. If I can type.
They calm him down, and kind of talk him through it, get him up. They talk to him for a few minutes and just get him to go home to his wife and relax. And I really just took that scene as a little bit of setup for some stuff later, and to kind of show you Danny and kind of what he's dealing with and how that shapes him through the rest of his time in the show.
Yeah, and he's definitely the what's the word I'm looking for? My mind went blank. He's definitely like the example of, people coming back from war, especially World War One. Just all, their brain is fried from all the new stuff. I mean, bombs and whatnot. And I mean, you've heard the term shell shocked, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's you go look that up on YouTube, videos of that, different stuff of actual footage of people suffering from shell shock. I mean, they're just shaken violently and uncontrolled. It's just another horrible outcome of war, and he's definitely the example of it in the show. Yeah, at least the first example.
Yeah. So we move on from that scene. We're coming down an alley. John is walking out into the street, and as he emerges, there's a gun put in his face. And behind the gun is Aunt Polly.
Oh, Aunt Polly.
So I think this is our first time seeing Aunt Polly in this. She puts the gun in his face, and she says that it's his own gun that she found his son playing with. She said that it was loaded, and so she's mad at him. Like she's mad that his son was running around with a loaded gun because John wasn't paying attention.
Very careless. Well, he was drunk too. That was the other thing.
Yeah,
wasn't it? He was drunk.
I must have been drunk.
And I always thought, and I think it's the way that she talks and how fast she talks and her accent too. I thought she was talking about Finn. When I thought she said Finn had it or whatever, so I thought she was talking about that, which I knew he had kids. I remember there was a part where they talked about that, but I didn't realize it until going back this time and watching it again that she was saying that your kids had it, and I was like, oh, still bad. I mean, but still, I was like, I didn't realize that. Something you kind of catch watching it over and over and over.
Yeah, and that's also the first time, that you find out that John has kids.
Do you remember how many he has? He's got like a lot, I think.
I think he's got 4 or 5.
That's why I was thinking 5 or 6 or something like that.
Yeah, I think at this time he has like 4 or 5.
Yeah.
He'll have more, but
single dad.
yeah, I wrote that down also. John's wife is dead, and he doesn't really have anybody to watch the kids. And Polly says it's not really an excuse. She's got to take care of business. We go from there to the family meeting. At the family meeting, Finn, the youngest brother, watches through the door. Inside, we've got Polly, Arthur, Tommy, John, Ada, who is their younger sister. And then we've got 2 friends of the family. These guys both served also. We've got Scudboat and Lovelock. Scudboat and Lovelock have just returned from Belfast. And while in a pub, they heard that Protestant Irish were being recruited as specials to clean up Birmingham. Basically just recruited as police to come over and help clean up the city.
Right.
So we get 3 new characters, all kind of in the beginning of that scene.
Do you think that's their actual names, though? Not Ada. I mean, Ada is our actual name, but Scudboat and Lovelock. You think that's their actual names, or do you think that's like nicknames?
I think Scudboat is probably a nickname, and I think Lovelock is probably that guy's last name.
Okay. I always kind of wondered that when I watched. I thought, I wonder if that's their actual names or just like, nicknames or something like that. Because I mean, like Scudboat. That sounds like a real thing. That doesn't sound like a name, Hey, I want you to meet my friend, Mr. Scudboat,
Yeah.
Lovelock, I could see, like you're saying, I could see that being an actual name. But, yeah, I just kind of wondered about that. But Ada, yeah, she's young. She's probably, what, I'd say 14, 15, maybe? You think younger than that?
I think Ada's maybe like 16.
Okay, that's why I was
I'm not
thinking
gonna go to that. Ada's probably 16.
Okay.
Maybe, I don't know. I feel like the show was really bad about letting you know,
How
especially
old
the
I
Shelby's
mean, I
ages.
can't even think of like how old Tommy is.
And
or
it's
even
hard to
Arthur.
say because John is younger than Tommy, but John still served. In World War One, I don't know how old you had to be to serve. You might have.
Yeah, but a lot of people lied about their age in the
That's
first
true.
2 World Wars.
Yeah,
So,
and it's hard to get a gauge on how old all those people are.
yeah.
Meetings mostly just some information coming in about Inspector Campbell. They learn that Campbell made a name for himself rooting out the IRA out of Belfast, which is where he's been the last 4 years. And I think this is really Campbell's kind of claim to fame is the work he did in Belfast with the IRA.
Oh, definitely, yeah. He's very proud of it. He definitely wears it as a medal. That's for sure. Later on, when we get to see him more.
Yeah.
But it seems like that, they're bringing it up, so they're a little worried about it. But it's kind of like what Arthur says is, we're bookmakers. We just kind of go about our business, and we won't have to worry about any of that stuff.
Yeah, they are definitely concerned about his intentions and what he's going to be up to.
Well, they definitely want to know that he's not going to be meddling in any of their
interfering,
business. Yeah, because I mean they're trying to run a business, and they haven't done anything wrong. So
Yeah. Polly says that the women ran the business during the war, essentially. She says, she asked Tommy if he's got anything else to say, anything else to add to the meeting, and he says, nothing that's women's business, I think. And she says, this whole business used to be women's business when you guys were at war.
right.
She says, what changed? I think he says, we came back.
I'd like to know who she's talking about, though, because, I mean, you don't really, at that point, besides Ada, you're not introduced to any other, I mean, it's basically been men, besides Polly and Ada in the show, so you're kind of wondering, okay, well, who's all the women that, probably just wives and
yeah, that's
the
what I
other
was gonna
guys
say.
are in the background.
Probably
but-
wives of the guys that work with them.
Yeah, which makes sense. I mean, just kind of one of those curious things I think about.
Yeah.
So I'm too critical about different stuff, so I want to dive too deep into people's lives on shows, but whatever.
Yeah, a fictional person's life.
Exactly.
You don't
Yes.
wanna- you don't wanna delve too much.
I want to
It's,
delve into it, man. I
okay.
want to know every week. I want to know what they had for breakfast.
Okay.
I want to know, what their heart rate is right this second. Weird stuff like that.
So you're looking for, instead of like a 30-minute episode of the show, you're looking for more like an all-day experience, like a closed-circuit TV.
Well, first off, it's not a
experience.
30-minute episode. It's
Are
an
they-
hour long.
are they
They're
about an
hour
hour? I
long.
guess
Oh,
they
yeah.
are.
They're all hour long.
Okay.
Could you imagine trying to put all of this into one 30-minute episode?
My time
though?
was so thrown off taking notes, especially too, because it seemed like an eternity.
Well, not like that though, but and I get that too, because you're having you're seeing something, you pause it, and you're kind of like, okay, I gotta write that down real quick. Go 5 more seconds, you're like, oh, I should write that down too, whatever. But I mean, just all the action that they have going on, all these episodes. There's no way you could get it done
That's
in
true.
30 minutes, man. I mean, you could, but it'd be like watching an episode of Dragon Ball Z where the fight lasted for 9 episodes, and I used to get frustrated with that all the time.
So instead of 6-episode seasons, we'd be looking at 22-episode seasons, something like that.
Yeah, I mean that's what we'd be looking at. I don't know if you'd be able to. I mean, like, look, there are shows that have that, but a show like this, I think 6 episodes is good in a season.
Oh, they do
and
it
an
so
hour
well.
long. Yeah,
It's
for
it's very concise without feeling so.
rushed.
Look
or
at this,
anything.
and then now look at this,
Yeah.
and then now look at this, and now we're going to use them all.
Yeah,
You know?
it's very smooth.
Yeah.
Again, a good testament to the great directorial skills. Can't think of his name all of a sudden, but he's kind of become a big director.
Does he work with Cillian Murphy a lot?
I think they've done several different things. He did do Taboo with Tom Hardy.
Okay.
I want to say. Did he do? I want to say he. No, that was Christopher Nolan. I was gonna say the guy who did. I can't even think of what that movie's called now. It was a war movie, but anyway,
Dunkirk?
Yeah, but that was Christopher Nolan.
Okay.
He did something though.
I was about to ask who did Dunkirk.
Yeah, it was Christopher Nolan, which I love Christopher Nolan, man. I'm trying to figure out what this guy's name is. Stephen Knight. And I know he's tied to some movie or something. I feel like he was. He did. Okay, so he did. I don't think you've seen it. I told you about it. He did that movie with Tom Hardy. It's called Locke. And it's just, all it is just Tom Hardy. I know this sounds goofy, but it's just Tom Hardy driving around in his car. And, like, it's all acted out over, like, telephone calls and everything like that. It's a really good movie if you haven't watched it.
I haven't seen it.
It's really good. I mean, it's a testament to Tom Hardy's, acting skills. It's a really good movie.
Okay.
Of course, Peaky Blinders and Taboo. He's got other things, but I thought there was another big movie that he did, but yeah.
Just the confusion on Dunkirk.
Yes, which is a great movie. Let's not get it wrong. It's a great movie, but yes, a little confusion there. Back to regular programming now.
So from there we get Inspector Campbell taking a little ride through Small Heath at night, and this is really a showcase of how terrible this neighborhood is.
The nightlife.
There's people drinking and smoking, and many people throwing up on the street and having sex on the street, and they make a point to show you each one of those things so that
In
you know
detail, man.
that those things are all happening.
Yeah, there's no question about what is going on.
Inspector Campbell looks disgusted, as I imagined he would. They keep driving further and further into the neighborhood until children began to throw rocks at the car. The driver says he's not going any further and turns back.
Well, I mean, would you? Children throwing rocks at you.
No, but at that point, if you're already so deep in, shouldn't you just drive through to the other side?
Is there another side?
Are you turning back and going the other way? I don't know. Hard to say.
Yeah.
Maybe it just gets worse.
I mean, yeah, I would think it would probably just keep getting worse. There's probably no, mountain climb where it's like, it starts out okay, and then you get to the peak, and it's just horrible, and then you kind of go back down, and it's okay. I would think it's just like a straight line of, it's just going to be hell on earth the
Once
whole
it gets
way.
bad, it's just...
Once
yeah.
it's bad, man.
Okay. Okay, so this next section I called The Guns. And Polly asked Thomas to meet her at the church, where she asked him what he's been hiding. And he decides to come clean with her. His men were supposed to steal a crate of motorcycles, but they picked up the wrong crate, and it contained the guns that Inspector Campbell's been looking for. We've got our gun inventory count here. They found 25 Lewis machine guns and 10,000 rounds, 50 semi-auto rifles,
Bring it.
and 200 pistols.
That's what I thought.
They've got ammo for all that too. The guns were bound for Libya, and they're currently being stored at Charlie Strong's yard. He says that in 3 days, when the full moon wanes, he'll get rid of the guns. The 3-day full moon thing is because Charlie's superstitious of it, and he won't move contraband under the full moon. I don't know why the guns were going to Libya.
So, I know, and that was something that popped in my mind,
Like,
too.
historically, I don't know why.
Right, and that is one thing we didn't talk about is the writers on this show really try to stick a lot of historical stuff, historical events and people into this show. So they try to keep it really accurate of, different things going on and kind of, put it into the show and whatnot. But I was thinking the same thing of like, okay, so what's the significance of Libya? Well, of course, colonization. You've got different European countries down there in Africa. And from what I found online, it seems as though the British were trying to aid the Italians in Libya. So they were trying to send them ammo and guns. I don't know if there was if there maybe had been a civil war in Libya, if maybe some of the natives were trying to rise up against the Italians. I'm not really sure. I couldn't really find anything about that at this moment. I need to look up more because I like reading stuff about that. But it just seems as though the British were trying to supply the Italians with that ammo, and just so happens our boy Tommy here got in the way.
Happened to intercept that.
Just happened to stumble upon some gold.
So our next scene here is Ada meets Freddie Thorne under a bridge. She says she has tickets to the Penny Crush to see a Tom Mix film. I was gonna look up and see who Tom Mix was.
You don't know who Tom Mix is?
No.
He was a classic silent film character. I think he played a lot of westerns.
Okay.
Is what it. I could be wrong about that. I'm not really 100% familiar with Tom Mix. I just know he was a silent film actor. I watch a lot of silent films, so I know. But I think he was in a lot of westerns. But I think the one that she was watching, though, was not a western. I don't think. It didn't look like it was a western, if I remember correctly. Do you remember?
I don't remember, but I also don't think that's the scene where she's in the theater. Because they don't go... It doesn't show them go to the movie. It's like later when she's in the theater.
Yeah, okay, yeah. I don't know what happened.
And like Tommy comes in to find her at the theater.
Right, yes.
She said that she had tickets to the Penny Crush to see a Tom Mix film, but they can't be seen together because they're brothers. So Freddie doesn't want to go to the movies. He doesn't want to go to a bar that's even really far out of the way. He says your brothers have friends there.
Which is another sign of, like how far the Shelby influence is. It's way out there because they're talking about going to a bar. I don't remember where, but
I think they said Mott Street.
But it's pretty out. It was pretty far out there. I thought the way they talked, it seemed like it was a long walk.
Yeah.
So it made it seem like, okay, well, it's like how far is their jurisdiction? I guess you could say. Go.
Yeah. So that's kind of the end there. Just showing you a little bit that Freddie and Ava kind of have a thing going on. They got to keep it quiet. There's really just a little scene to showcase that, I feel like. So we go from there. We got a shot. We're walking down Small Heath. We're walking down the street there. And a woman named Grace, an Irish woman in a green dress, walks down the street towards the Garrison pub. She looks really out of place. She looks like she's going to the Kentucky Derby.
Yeah.
And Small Heath looks like a toilet.
Yeah. Definitely looks out of place. I don't really know what more to say about that because, you put it... that was perfect. She's definitely out of place.
Like the music that plays is that
it's like a little
it's that very classic. It always says ethereal or like something like that,
Yeah, very ambient.
Yeah. But she walks down the street towards the Garrison. She goes inside and inquires about a barmaid position, and she sings while emptying some gross buckets I don't know what's in these buckets, but I would
say that's
like
spit,
to.
man.
Well, I would like
Those
to
look like-
assume.
Those
but
look like spittoon.
the more I thought about it,
Okay.
the more I thought it might be more.
Yeah.
So she's from Galway, and she used to work in Dublin. So she comes into the bar. She asks about the barmaid position. She says that she wants to work there. The bartender says that she's too nice to work there. That she couldn't be in there. But she starts singing, and she shows him that she can do the work. She starts emptying out buckets and ashtrays and the like, and sings, and I think that kind of wins him over.
What do you think about her singing voice? I'm not trying to like criticize or anything, but what'd you think?
I think it's all right.
I mean, I understand, there's no music, and she's singing by herself.
I also think
man.
she's singing with an accent that she doesn't have,
Yeah.
because I don't think that lady has
I'd like
that
to
accent.
know. Yeah, I'd like to know what
I think
her
she's
nationality is. The actual actress.
I think she's trying to sing in like an Irish accent, and it's not
It's not coming through very well.
not going over super well. I do think she has a good voice, though.
Yeah, I don't know. Me personally, when I first watched this scene, her first scene and everything, I was like, okay, and then she starts singing. And I'm just kind of, I don't know. I was like,
I don't
know,
care
man.
for this song as much, but there's another song that she sings later. I think it's called "The Boy I Love," I think, or "Up in the Gallery," maybe.
I about to say, I thought the first song she sang was "The Boy She Loved." I could be wrong. I don't even remember what she sang.
But we'll get to it. We'll get to that one.
Anyway, her actress name is Annabelle Wallis. She's from Oxford, United Kingdom. So
Okay.
she's trying to fake a thick Dublin accent. Not really going her way there. At least with the singing part,
Yeah. So she gets the job. After that, we're going to see Inspector Campbell. He gives a speech to the Birmingham police. And he's shaming them for looking the other way and taking the blinders' payments.
Which I just want to say I really love. I don't know why. It's just kind of a cool. His very first lines are, "Babies discarded with the fish bones and eggshells. Girls, 11 years old, pierced and punctured by old men for 3p a time, rutted upon like animals." And just all this time, like, all these guys are just kind of like, Just like, it's just great. I don't know. It's just, I mean, it's rough, but he's telling the truth. I mean, we're seeing maybe not everything exactly that he's saying right there, but I mean,
we definitely didn't see all of that.
Thank God we didn't, but I mean,
Yeah.
he's not lying though, man. I mean, he saw it firsthand the last scene that he was in. I mean, all these things happening at the nightlife of Small Heath. I mean, he knows what's up, man. And like you said, he blames them for looking the other way and tipping their cap to their masters, basically, who are letting it happen.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's a real shame all around.
Yeah, I just thought that was a great way for him to come in. Just
He comes
guns
in hot.
a-blazing,
Yeah, he
man.
comes in hard.
Yeah, let you know that he's not here on vacation.
Yeah.
He's here for business.
After a good probably 10 minutes of shaming, he then brings in the Irishman that he's recruited to work as specials, again, just other cops, and kind of help them clean up Birmingham. These guys are really just going to beef up their ranks and give them a lot more muscle to work with. They're going to be going after the Blinders, among other gangs, the Communists and the IRA Fenians.
Which, talking about both of those, my favorite line from his speech is, "Then there are the Communists and the IRA Fenians. Blacker hearts still."
Blacker hearts
Which
still.
I think is just a great line.
He kills.
Yeah,
he
just
kills.
his acting is just
Like, you
is
hate him,
great,
but he
man.
kills.
Right, yeah. You almost want to root for him. I
Yeah.
don't know, it's just kind of weird.
Yeah.
Like, I could probably get on this dude's side. I could probably don the uniform for him.
So they're going to clean it up. We're going to be seeing them cleaning it up.
Get your brooms out.
After this, we see Arthur going to a movie with two women, and he passes the line. Again, just seeing that Peaky Blinder privilege. The theater is empty for him. Even more privileges that he gets. I put this one down. St. James Infirmary Blues by the White Stripes plays.
Ah, yes, the White Stripes.
Well, this scene starts, and I didn't realize how much Jack White is in the first season.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he's all over the place
of the show. Because you got some Raconteurs
Yeah.
in like another episode, and I'm pretty sure there's still some more White Stripes.
Yeah.
So some men approach Arthur as he's sitting there. They drag him out of the theater, and we find him...
Kicking and screaming, by the way.
Yes, kicking and screaming. And we find him in a room being beaten. Inspector Campbell believes that Arthur is the gang leader because he's the oldest. They say that he had a knife and a kesh on him, and I wrote down that I didn't know what a kesh is. I think a kesh is like a blackjack.
I mean, that's what I would think would be like a blackjack. It seems like something that a lot of the gang members would have back then. Would you say a cash? Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Not Kesha. Cash.
He asks Arthur about the robbery, and then he decides to break his finger while he's interrogating him.
Oh, that's nice.
Arthur insists that he doesn't know anything about it, and what we know that Inspector Campbell doesn't know is that he does know nothing about it.
Right, and to me, this is kind of the beginning of poor Arthur getting beaten up for a lot of Tommy's deeds.
Yeah.
He really is a punching bag, it seems like, and this is our first chance to really see that. And your heart goes out to the guy, man, because he's got a lot of problems.
Yeah. In the first season, he is really, he's Tommy's punching bag, and in the second season, he's Tommy's mad dog.
Yeah.
So, just...
Which he makes a great mad dog.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
He seems like, I don't know, to me, he doesn't seem like he would be a great leader in a gang. I mean, he seemed like he was okay as the bookmaker, but not like as a violent gang member or anything like that. He seems like he would be more of a right-hand man.
Yeah.
So
He's number 2.
he's a number 2.
So after our little interrogation, we are taken over to the Garrison pub. It's full. It's game day. And Tommy and Grace meet for the first time. And it's a very classy introduction. Tommy asks her, "Are you a whore?" And she says, "No." And he says, "Well, then you're in the wrong place." And then he closes the door.
It's a great first line. Great way to introduce yourself.
Yeah.
Especially to a lady.
Tommy and them are sitting in that little small room off the bar. I never know what to call those things.
Just like a private room.
It's like a private room. A lot of people, they call it a snug.
I've never heard that.
Yeah, that's what
I
they...
mean, I wouldn't know.
That's what they call the one in McNally's. They call it the snug.
Oh, that's cool.
But it is neat because you can get bar service like right through the window,
that's what's pretty cool.
you
That
know?
little window there. Yeah, straight onto the bar tap.
Yeah.
The top.
So that's it for that tiny little scene, just to show you Tommy and Grace meeting each other.
Not important at all, it's just kind of... we just thought we'd throw that in there.
After that, Arthur's getting cleaned up after his beating by Ada and Polly.
They didn't get beat up by Anna and Polly, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
I know that kind of sounded like...
They were working over. They were working him over.
So, you talk? Did you talk?
No, Arthur gets cleaned up after his beating, and Ada and Polly are the ones doing the cleaning up.
There you go. I just thought that sounded weird when you said it the first time. I was like, they beat him up? Really?
Ada says that she was a nurse, and they joke that she only went to one class at the church, I think, on first aid or something.
Which makes me wonder if she was trying to maybe try to get into the medical... team in the war or something like that. Maybe medical effort, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. They said that she did get kicked out of the lesson, though, for messing around.
Yeah.
I wrote on here, what's up with these houses?
I was wondering what you meant by that. Yeah.
I just don't understand. They come in the front, they're businesses, then they go into the back, and it's a normal house, and they face one part of the street where it's like a residential entrance, but they face another part of the street where it's like businesses. I don't know, it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, like the setup on these houses.
I mean,
but I don't know what style the houses are.
I'm not an architect, so I don't know.
I really just thought to myself, what's with these houses, because I didn't look into it any further.
it is, yeah. They're all the same. I don't know why it makes me think of like a beefed up project.
Yeah.
You know, like projects on crack or something like that. I don't know. Just because I mean, like you said, like you go into like their house, unless like for some reason they have like several. Which I mean, again, they're a prominent family in Small Heath, so maybe they have several houses, and
because
that's why it looks
connected
so
to each
big.
other.
Yeah. But you're right though. It's like you go in there and it's like, here's the entryway, here's the fireplace and the kitchen or whatever, and then here's the betting hall basically, which is like a huge long hall with a bunch of different like offices on either side, and then you go at the very end of the hallway and there's a big sliding door which goes into like a family room basically, which is where they have most of their meetings. So you're kind of like, well, they're like, how big is this one house for this family, So I kind of wondered if it was a deal of they own several houses in that little project or whatever, and they're all connected or something like that. But I don't know. I mean, they only go through one door that they ever really show, at least in the first season that I can remember. But, yeah.
Arthur asked Tommy about the robbery. What robbery? What are they talking about? What robbery are they talking about?
I don't know what you're talking about, bro. Yeah. Did you say robbery?
Arthur kind of tells them what happened with Inspector Campbell, and Arthur says that he wants to help. He wants to help Campbell. He wants to inform for them, basically let them know what they see going on, if they hear anything.
Stay on their good side, basically.
Yeah. But it seems pretty general consensus from everybody else that they don't want to do that. Maybe Polly might want to just stay
it seemed
clear.
It was a little more, yeah. Of course, Polly's in on. She knows what's going on, so she's trying to make an informed decision that on things that other people don't know besides Tommy.
Yeah.
Because she knows about the robbery, and of course she told him, get rid of it. And it's got to be in the back of her mind of, okay, well, did he get rid of it or not? Because now they're here, and they're wanting to know, where it's at.
Yeah.
Where are the guns, man? And they'll basically murder you, it seems like. I mean, he seems like he'd be a brutal enough guy to, from what they did to the IRA, I'm sure they didn't show any mercy to them. So I'm sure he means murder if he really wants to.
Yeah, and Polly says, you sell these guns to anyone who has use to them, and you'll hang.
Oh yeah, easily.
So it's like it's a huge deal.
Yeah.
They're not taking this lightly at all.
I mean, this has got Winston Churchill's attention.
Yeah.
Who is a very young guy, which is another cool thing I thought about this series, showing him growing up. He's in the first season, he's very young, just starting out, up and comer.
And in the second season, when he's getting really into bohemian culture.
Exactly, yeah. He's starting to get a little fatter,
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, this is definitely a national crisis. It's not just some, hey, detective, here's your job for the day. We got a tip on, this, see, or whatever.
Yeah. After that, we see Grace singing in the garrison. Men sing along until the blinders enter the pub, and then everybody gets real quiet. The song is The Boy I Love's Up in the Gallery. It was written by George Ware in 1885. But I think it was more popularized probably for, these characters by Marie Lloyd. She sang it later, more around their time. and more of that version. They said that they haven't had any singing in the bar since the war. And Tommy says, "Why do you think that is?"
Why do you think that is?
Yeah. And they mentioned it before that that Tommy doesn't let anybody sing in the bar since the war. We've got a short scene of Ada at Freddy's apartment. She says, Freddy says that he and Tommy will be on the same side again one day. He's always kind of prying into what's going on with Tommy and what's going on with the gang and stuff.
She's his informant, basically.
Yeah.
Without really knowing it. You know?
Yeah. And I don't think he's trying to figure anything out to get ahead on them or anything. It's just...
He just wants to know what's up.
Yeah. I think it's just... Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. He just wants any information. Plus, I think the fact that him and Tommy's names are together.
Yeah, and
he's trying to figure out if there's something going on there.
Right. Why is my name next to his? Yeah.
That Tommy's not telling him about.
Right. Yeah.
So this is going to be the first time that we see Tommy dealing with his PTSD and war flashbacks and stuff. He smokes opium at night to fall asleep. It just helps him kind of drown everything else out, and he doesn't hear essentially men tunneling through the walls.
Just staring at that wall, man. Death stare.
Yeah.
Which is another cool scene, I think, is because you think the way it seems like they're about to come through his walls in the apartment, man. Yeah.
Seems like you're about to see that.
Yeah.
He dreams of working in the tunnels during the war. We see a dream that's also a flashback to Tommy, Danny, and Freddy in a fight with a soldier in a tunnel. And Tommy wakes up in a cold sweat.
Just crazy, though, sitting there, they're digging through those tunnels. And then it's all of a sudden you stop because you hear something. And so they're trying to be quiet about it. Well, they can hear the Germans on the other side digging straight into their tunnel too, which is crazy. And then all of a sudden, you break through and it's just attack, man. Survival in this tiny claustrophobic hole.
Yeah.
Man, that's terrible.
Yeah. And it's hard to tell kind of what's going on, but it looks like somebody catches a sword, somebody...
It was like bayonets almost. Looked like a bayonet off of a gun or something.
Yeah.
A lot of screaming and kicking and bloody murder.
Yeah, and the way they shoot it is very chaotic so that you get that feeling of the claustrophobia.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
You feel that panic for sure. But that's the first time we kind of see Tommy dealing with all this. It looks like, on the surface when you see it before, it looks like everybody else is fine. You've got guys like Danny Whizbang who are pretty messed up, and you've got guys like Tommy who seem to kind of have it all together and be able to put it behind him. But when he gets home and behind closed doors, he's just as hurt as anybody else.
Yeah, but he doesn't want to show it. He's one of those guys that he doesn't like to show emotions or pain or anything like that. He's very stone-faced.
Yeah,
for sure.
This section is called One of Us now. While in an Italian neighborhood, Danny Whizbang suffers from his PTSD and kills a shop owner who threatened his life, or who threatened him with a knife. I don't know if he was going to really cut him with it, but he did brandish it. It was brandished. So he freaks out and kills this guy, and two other guys watch it happen. Those two other guys that watch it happen, I think we see later because I think they're just, one of them is that guy's brother. Maybe not. They might have just reported it to whoever.
I felt like there was more to it, but I mean, I don't. If that was his brother, he didn't react like it was, oh my God,
That was
like
my
that.
thing, yeah.
He just kind of like was, a dude died,
That was what
and
I was
watched
thinking.
it,
But he, regardless, Danny kills this Italian guy and then runs out of there. That's kind of the end of that scene. So we've got Inspector Campbell, and he meets with Winston Churchill on a train, and they discuss the plan for the return of the guns and the ammunition. I think this is just some kind of, what do you say, it's like a stop whistle tour or something like that. He's just
something like that. Yeah, I don't really remember.
He's just passing through, getting some work done on a train. I noticed this in Hell on Wheels a lot. There's a lot of businessmen around this time, just on trains with like an office.
Oh, it was a big thing. Yeah, it was a big
Like
thing.
office on a train.
Yeah,
Which actually sounds kind of sick.
that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Always traveling, you're not stuck in one spot with the same view or anything like that.
Yeah.
But I think at this point too, we kind of see Inspector Campbell his character kind of brought down a little bit.
Yeah.
Because when he's always talking to his superiors, it always seems like he's kind of getting trampled on a little bit.
Yeah.
He's getting cut off. People are talking over him. He's kind of stuttering a little bit. He's kind of he's not the same guy that we saw at the police station.
Yeah.
Giving a hardcore speech to all these coppers, or whatever.
Yeah. No, definitely when he's talking with his superiors, he's a lot more intimidated. Like he
Right.
doesn't know exactly what to say or how to approach them. But yeah, with other people, he has no problem being the tough guy.
Right. Yeah.
Campbell says that there's no distinction in his mind between the gangs like the Peaky Blinders, the IRA, and the communists. That there's just good guys and bad guys, essentially. That he doesn't see any distinction.
Right.
Like there's just good and bad. It seems like Churchill's okay with him doing pretty much whatever needs to be done, which is kind of scary, but he does tell him that there's a difference between here and Belfast,
Oh, for sure, yeah.
He used the line, bodies thrown in the river wash up in the paper.
Yeah.
So he tells him if you have to bury any bodies, dig graves and dig deep ones. But they're, again, just emphasizing how serious they are about the return of the guns.
Right, yeah.
After that, we see Tommy move the guns to a wharf where they store alcohol and tobacco. I think they just call it a tobacco wharf. And Uncle Charlie is going to be moving it for him. I think this is the first time we really see Uncle Charlie. We see him, they talk about him,
Yeah.
and you see him in that little flashback about them getting the crate, like when they were at Charlie's yard.
But this is the first time you ever hear him speak or anything like that.
Yeah, and Charlie is Tommy's mother's brother. Yeah, because Polly is...
Is it, though? Because... Okay, no. Go ahead.
It's Dad's sister, right?
I don't know. We should just get like a family tree going here,
That's
man.
true.
Because it's getting
We
so
might
confusing.
have to.
And then like back then too, there's a lot of weird marriages
Cousin
here.
marrying
Yeah,
and such.
so not like
backwoods
marrying or anything
Plus
like
they're
that,
like-
but
Yeah, plus they're gypsies.
Yeah,
so
and
they
that's the
got
other
like
thing,
weird
too.
like marital customs too. So.
right, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, our first introduction, Uncle Charlie there. He voices his concerns about this whole business. He's just like Aunt Polly. He's not happy about Tommy keeping the guns.
Oh
and-
no, yeah. He knows the score, man. He knows he's sitting on a ticking time bomb, basically.
Yeah.
And he doesn't want to be the one to die for it, basically.
Yeah. You don't want to be holding that. But he's loyal, and he does what he's told. After that, we see Inspector Campbell meet Grace in a museum, where it's revealed that she is also an agent. I didn't realize that until this time watching through, that this is the first time that you're like, if you haven't seen the show before, this is the first time that you're shown that they have any relation.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
for
if there's
sure.
anything going on between them, because
Yeah.
you see her enter on her own.
Yeah.
You know, like they enter separately. So
Well, and it's like he's, you first start with him, you're thinking, okay, well, we're just watching him do his vacation thing. He's just going to a museum, going to look around some art, and then walk out or whatever.
yeah,
Goes over to one little spot, and then next thing you know, she comes shuffling over with her back towards us, and we don't even know who it is, and then starts speaking and shows her face, and you're like, whoa, okay, now we're getting somewhere here, man, with this story.
yeah. There's a little more going on.
Yeah.
So she reveals that she's an agent also. Her job is to get close to Tommy. And she had joined the force after her father, who was a cop, was murdered by someone in the IRA.
And just in case anybody doesn't know what IRA stands for, it's Irish Republican Army. It was a big thing having to do with trying to get independence from Britain, who was kind of, I don't want to say colonizing, but they were kind of taking over Ireland, basically.
I mean, it's like
And they were ruling over them.
It's the never-ending.
Yeah, I mean, it's still going on today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Campbell knew her father, so that's why they kind of have this connection. I mean, she's a cop, but...
Well, but he even says that, he thinks of her as a daughter,
Yeah,
and you can tell he's very attached to her,
Yeah.
when he talks to her in this scene. So he's almost kind of reluctant to have her do the job,
yeah,
you.
no, for sure. So that's the first little seed that they plant there of just them exchanging some information, what she's learned so far, which is virtually nothing. Just,
Well, I mean, you're just getting started. You've been
Yeah.
too busy singing.
just yeah,
Yeah.
handing out beers all day
How much
and
can
not
you
asking
learn?
any
Yeah.
questions.
Yeah. And getting asked if you're a whore. I mean, come on. How we going to learn from that,
Yeah. After that, we see Tommy, and he has to execute Danny for his crime against the Italians. He tells Danny that one of the two men over there, that the man that he killed was his brother.
They're actually both the brother.
Oh, they're both brothers.
Yeah, I looked it up. They're both brothers. But just so strange to me
And
because
they
again,
just watched.
Yeah, I was like going back to what we were talking about. You would think like there would be more emotion to it instead of just standing there with their hands in their coats, just kind of looking all,
Maybe they're more small time also, because it's not Sabini and it's not, it's not any of those bigger families that we find later.
Yeah.
So it makes me wonder if they were small time also, and that they didn't want to risk killing him, and like maybe the same thing. Maybe they didn't want to risk killing him and starting a war with the Blinders.
Right, but you would think there would have been more. I mean, not so much going after him, but like running to your brother and like
Something,
cradling
some
him
kind of
or rocking him
reaction.
back and forth or whatever,
Yeah.
and crying over his dead body.
Instead, they
something.
just kind of like scowled as he ran away. You know,
I mean,
like,
show some type of emotion, man. But I mean, that just kind of shows us, what they're about. I mean, they're hardcore. Of course, they may have been in the army too, man. They may have been in the war, and they're kind of seen killing all the time,
Yeah.
So
So they both stand as witness, the two brothers, to see that this gets done. So Tommy explains it to Danny, what's going to happen, why it's happening. Danny asks for a few things. He says he doesn't want to be buried in the mud. He wants to be buried up on a hill where his wife could come and visit him. He wants Tommy to help his sons get jobs, but just normal jobs at the factory, I think, at one of the factories.
Well, and going back to the burial thing, I wondered if when he said he didn't want to be buried in the mud, First World War was fought in trenches, basically. There's a lot of mud, and I kind of wondered if it had to do something with that. Maybe just kind of, I don't want to be buried like that. I don't know. It just
I
was
think
a
it's
weird
just like
thought,
that image.
maybe.
For him, he didn't want to be
Because
down
I'm sure,
low. He wanted to
right,
be high up on a hill,
right,
some sunny hill with a tree growing.
right,
on it,
exactly, yeah.
Just a better thought, and I think it makes it easier for him to accept what's about to happen to him.
Right.
Tommy says, before he's about to pull the trigger and kill Danny, he says, in the bleak midwinter, which is a poem by Christina Rossetti. But I assumed that the characters probably knew it through this work that was called the English Hymnal. And it was a collection of like a bunch of poems and writings from around that time. And that was one of them that was in there.
Didn't know that.
Yeah, and it was mass produced around that time and like handed out to soldiers and stuff.
Oh,
so
okay. That's pretty cool.
I assumed that was where he knew it from.
And we'll learn more about that because it has a big significance in the family between the three brothers who went off to war. We'll learn more about that later on for sure.
Back at the book, which is what I decided to call this place.
I was about to say, is that the hideout, the hangout?
Back at the book, Arthur confronts Tommy about their horse winning its race. He says, Monahan boy won. And then Tommy has to explain to him what seems really obvious after he explains it.
Right.
Which is that they need to get a lot of people to bet on the horse. They're going to get a lot of people to bet this time. And then next time, because he won, next time there'll be even more people betting on the horse. And the time after that, they'll have the entire town betting on the horse. And at that time, the horse will lose.
Right.
They'll fix the race so that they win. So he explains all this to Arthur. Again, I think so you don't have to.
You're right, yeah. I think you're seeing a lot of transition of power right here.
Yeah.
This is a crucial moment between the two of them and in the whole Shelby family, for sure.
Yeah. Yep. Showing that Tommy's drumming up the new business. He's taking initiative, and he's going to be kind of guiding them in the direction they're going to be going from here on out.
And he's starting to wear that crown that Freddie was talking about earlier.
Yeah. Making the transition from prince to king.
Exactly.
So we get taken to Uncle Charlie's boat. Whenever Tommy shot Billy in the back of the head, Danny.
Who? Billy? Did you say Billy?
Bill Dan.
Bill Dan.
Whenever
That's
Tommy,
his other name.
whenever Tommy shot Danny in the back of the head, they disposed of his body using Uncle Charlie's boat.
Perfectly timed, too.
Yes.
I like how it was like Barry going like maybe 2-3 miles per hour.
Yeah.
Just perfect timing of like shoot him, he just falls right on there. Uncle Charlie doesn't even look at him. He just keeps looking straight ahead.
Just keeps smoking
keeps
that
on
cigarette.
going, man.
Yeah. So we're back on the boat, and we find Danny alive. Danny comes out of this little cargo area, maybe little quarters. I don't know what's
something like
in there.
that. Something that went downstairs, I guess, into the bottom of the boat or something, maybe.
Okay. But it's revealed that he had a metal plate in the back of his hat that was packed with sheep's brains. So the metal plate kept the bullet from killing him, and the sheep's brains splattered all over Tommy's face to make it look like Danny was dead. Uncle Charlie says that there's a job that Danny has to do in London now. And he also says that you're a blinder now, Danny. So they saved his life, but again, the give and take there. They saved his life, but now they own his life.
Have a weird initiation there, too, man.
Yeah. Pretend to kill you.
Yeah.
We're not going to tell you.
And we're not going to tell you either, man.
Yeah.
You're just going to feel a weird pain in the back of your head.
Yeah. But Charlie also mentions that he hoped that would help to kind of ring Danny's bell a little bit.
Yes, yeah.
And kind of bring him back to reality.
Right.
Back to their...
Yeah.
And from here on out, like when we see Danny, like he's cleared up,
Yeah,
like that,
so hopefully it did.
That near-death
does seem like it
experience,
did, yeah.
shook him up a little bit and made him a little better. We see Aunt Polly asking Tom if he did the right thing. And to Polly, that's getting rid of the guns, but to Tommy, it was just moving them. So when she asks him if he did the right thing, he says yes, because to the two of them, it means two completely different things.
Scout's honor.
Yeah. After that...
I mean, look, he's not lying. He did do something with them.
Yeah.
It's just like you said, not what... They weren't on the same page about it, though.
No, they were not on the same page.
Oh, I did something with them.
Yeah. A lot of misdirection here.
Yes, yeah. Which is kind of in his... It's kind of his M.O.
Yeah.
A lot of times, seems like.
Snow falls in Small Heath as a music box theme plays. Tommy walks down the street past the garrison where Grace is standing out front, walks right by her, doesn't even look over, doesn't
acknowledge her, nothing, man. He just
he's
goes
focused.
about his. Yep.
Yeah, he's focused. And he walks
Lord knows
down
what
the
he's
street.
thinking about all the time, man. He's always planning, it seems like.
Yeah.
Always got some plan going on in his head. I'm sorry I interrupted you there.
No, you're good. Yeah, and it just keeps walking on. And I think that that last scene is just meant to show you kind of his path, like his drive, his determination. He's walking the path, like not seeing anything else around him, like the goal's down there.
Yes, keeping his eyes on the prize.
Yep. That's it. That takes us to the end of season 1, episode 1. If you enjoyed it, you'd like to hear more, make sure you give this podcast a listen, share it around, and we'll see you in the next one.